Now, looking at the first question that we posed to our respondents was, do you support the decision by President William Ruto to form the broad-based government? And in this question, 36.7% approved of the president's decision and direction in creating the broad-based government. However, 41.3% are not agreeing with the president's directive to create the broad-based government, while 22% are not sure. So in this question, according to these findings, is that a majority of Kenyans, that is 41.3%, do not approve of the president's direction to create the broad-based government, which has accommodated various members of the opposition in his government. We find that at least 40.2% of Kenyans note that they perceive that there will be a change by the accommodation of members of the opposition and members from other divides who are not initially within the government in the runnings of government. However, we have another combination here of 42.5% who don't have a positive view of the broad-based government in matters of service. They view that the broad-based government will not be able to create that necessary change that the Kenya Kwanza government may have been looking for. And the perception of Kenyans is key in understanding the 2 years before and now going forward as we approach the elections. Do they view there will be a difference, particularly in the running of government, now that the government has been broadened by the accommodation of various parties, particularly within the opposition? And in this, we had questions, and the manner of answering was either very likely, likely, neutral, unlikely, or very unlikely that we'll see a change. And 21.3% view that it is very unlikely that there will be any change. 21.2% are seeing it as unlikely. They're not on the extreme side, but they see it as not really that there will be that necessary conversion within the runnings of the government. 17.3% are neutral. 22.1% view that there is a likelihood that there will be a change, and 18.1% note that they view that there is a very likelihood that there will be a change, particularly within the runnings of government. We asked, do you think such an action would have any effect on the functions of various departments, the action being the reshuffling of the principal secretaries? And on this, 61.8%, an above average rating, noted that they view there would be a change should a reshuffle happen, particularly within the PSs in matters of service delivery. 27.1% note that they do not view, or rather they are not that optimistic of any change should there be a reshuffle. Here, 11.1% were not sure on whether there would be any change. Would you support the possibility of a reshuffle of the PSs? And in this question, 41.8% noted that they would want the government to consider reshuffling its lineup of the PSs. 33.7% of Kenyans involved in this study noted that they would not want to be any reshuffle within the PSs, while 24.5% note that they are not sure, they really are not here or there in matters concerning the PSs. In case of a possible PS reshuffle, which principal secretary do you think should be retained? And here, Honorable Julius Kibet Bitok, PS Immigration Services, was able to garner a rating of 76.5%. The position was also shared with Honorable Alex Washira, the Principal Secretary Energy, who was also able to garner an approval rating of 76.5%. They were closely followed by Honorable Mary Muthoni Murioki, PS, Public Health and Professional Standards, with an approval rating of 76.2%, noted by Kenyans involved in this study that they would want her retained should there be any reshuffle. In the third position, we had Honorable Elijah Mwangi, the Principal Secretary Mining, with an approval rating of 76% among the Kenyans involved in this study, noting that they would want him to be retained in case of a possible reshuffle. Honorable Engineer Joseph Mungai Mbugwa, Principal Secretary Roads, garnered an approval rating of 73.4%. Honorable Dr. Aurelia Rono, PS, Parliamentary Affairs, had a rating of 72.2% in the fifth position. Honorable Ephantus Kimotho, Principal Secretary Irrigation, came in the sixth position with an approval rating of 70.1%, 53%, noting that they do not want, and these are persons below 30 years, they noted that they would not want the government to consider accommodating persons above 60 years in the government, should there be a reshuffle. Persons aged between 30 to 4 years, here we had 48% who were against the directive and said that they would not want persons above 60 years to be accommodated in the government. And for persons above 50 years, we also noted 46%, noting that they would not want persons above 60 years to be accommodated in the government. And notably, also, it is within this bracket of the above 50 years where we had the most, the highest rating of persons who would want that to happen. That is 32%, while persons between 30 to 40 years are the ones who would not want that to ever happen, with 12.0% being the only percentage that was supporting the idea of accommodating persons above 60 years. Now, the study comprised of a sample size of 1,068 across the whole Republic of Kenya. And it highlights exceptional performance across key government departments, with looking particularly at the various principal secretaries.